Hello. Forces of nature happen. I'm Jeff, and this is Music Appreciated. They happen in all walks of life. It's interesting, when I was in high school, there was a guy called Charlie who everyone went crazy for and did that every time they saw him, wherever he happened to be. He was a very popular guy. He was apparently a bodybuilder and a first-team rugby player and had this sort of charismatic, bubbly attitude about him at the same time. And everyone knew who he was. At the same time, forces of nature happen in music, don't they? And that's what this is about. Musical forces of nature happen to us, but don't happen to us enough. I don't think they can. I think it's a question of balance. I think they'll happen when they're good and ready, and when they're supposed to. They have been Freddie Mercury, Elton John, the Muffs, System of a Down, Geezer Butler, Ozzy Osbourne, people like this, who are very much in the public eye, very much appreciated, very much praised. And I suppose being a force of nature to a degree means that will be the case with you. You will be sought out and preferred and loved by people, and they'll remember you. You're a force of nature. You are happening to people more strongly than you happen to others, than others happen to others. I'm getting muddled, but you know what I mean. I think about that. I think about that in terms of musical theatre as well. I think about, Idina Menzel and Judy Garland and all of the greats, and I think of musicians, and I think of Edith Piaf, and I think of, I'm looking at this screen here. I don't know, it's probably not very much in focus because, but anyway, it's NoFX. Fat Mike is a force of nature, but more than Fat Mike, I find, the band is never just as simple as its frontman. The whole band is very much a force of nature, and they write intelligently, they write, I suppose, divisively, and decisively as well. They mean to do what they mean to do, and they mean to say what they mean to say. And, we need people like that. We need that energy. I've been listening to them for many, many years, and it's been a good journey. I've really enjoyed it. It's something that I'm going to be listening to until I'm old. Forces of nature can also be a bit more understated, though. I'm thinking now about people like can be a force of nature. People like Tony Sly can be a force of nature and not really be mainstream, as it were. Not like huge mainstream. Tony Sly and No Use for a Name, they were big, but they weren't like the biggest, and they could have been. But they're force of nature in the sense that when they do hit you, when you find them, and when they find you, there is a huge resonance and a huge change that happens in you, and you start to think clearer and remember the beauty of everyday life as well. There's a rarity to that. There's very few punk bands who are putting out music about how they are hopeful and how things might be better and how they can make things better and how they themselves can be better. There's very few punk bands doing that, and I think that's just a really powerful example. On the topic of sort of punk, I suppose it crosses over to ska. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones I heard a song of theirs, and anyone that listens to them is going to roll their eyes because they're going to be like, oh, it's one of the first 5 songs you listen to when you listen to the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. But I was listening to their song, The Impression That I Get, and in that song, I kind of was struck by this new concept in like writing songs. Like, go and listen to the song, go and look at the lyrics on Spotify or YouTube Music, preferably wherever you are, because I can link you to YouTube Music very easily from here, so easier for you, just look in the description. And that's a song about how thankful they are to not have had as much tragedy happen as others may have, The Impression That I Get, really good song, really catchy and Moorish. Made me want to listen to more Boss Tones, right? Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, really. I just don't like the band name, it's long. I don't like long. I think you'll as far as names go, and as far as words and lyrics go, I think you need to be a bit more succinct. But it's not my decision, of course. If it was, as my wife constantly says, if everything was up to me, everything would be incredibly boring. Everything would just be too much the same. Too samey. And who needs that? This chair's very squeaky. I'm going to have to do something about that, or I might just not. Call it ambience. Call it an audible patina to the podcast. Why not? Why not, indeed? I think that forces of nature come by when they need to. I think that sounds quite woo-woo, quite new age, but I do think that when you need that type of inspiration, it will come. That's been the case with me. It's been mostly through music. And that is because music for me is in itself a force of nature. It's interesting how things go full circle. I'm going to love you and leave you and go away now. I'm going to go and eat dinner before my wife kills me.